Oh boy, I'm excited for this one, ladies and gentlemen, because I get to bring back the Orochi voice, which I know all of you missed. That was the one downside of Orochi's death. I don't get to use the voice anymore. All right, here we go. I am Lord Orochi. I am back from the dead. I am going to tell you about my amazing devil fruit, the Yamato no Orochi fruit. It is the Orochi fruit because I am Orochi. I named it after myself because I'm so cool. It gives me 8 heads, and I cannot die unless all 8 heads are severed. But what are the odds of that? I am Lord Orochi. Okay. Orochi did pretty much nothing with this fruit. He really didn't. You know, it's a perfect example of, like, it doesn't matter how strong a devil fruit you give a complete moron, an idiot. Those are kind of synonymous, but in the case with Orochi, I'll go ahead and double down on it. Yeah, moron and idiot and imbecile even. I will even go so far as to call him an imbecile, all right? If there's not much there already, you're not really going to get much out of it. Okay. The Yamata no Orochi. Ya means 8 in Japanese. Mata means branch or forks. And Orochi means serpent. Put them all together, you get 8 forked serpent. And it's a very famous creature, monster, that shows up in Japanese folklore. Gets slain by Susanoo no Mikoto, who, if you just saw Record of Ragnarok Season 3, which was infinitely better than One Punch Man Season 3, you will see Susanoo no Mikoto. He makes his first appearance at the end of that season. So there we go. We get to see his fight coming up in Season 4. That's going to be pretty cool. I like Susanoo no Mikoto as a character in Record of Ragnarok. He's pretty cool. And with that being said, Kozuki Oden, the mortal enemy of Lord Orochi. Oh no, I hate those Kozukis, especially Kozuki Oden. Oden is essentially a parallel to Susanoo in One Piece, all right? Even bearing the same name of the sword, Ame no Habakiri, going on an adventure, a quest of redemption. There's a lot of comparisons there. There's a lot of other ones too, like when Oden is boiling in the vat of oil, it's very similar to Goemon, all right? So Oda takes a lot of references from Japanese folklore and just kind of throws them all together for Oden, but Susanoo no Mikoto is certainly one of them, except Susanoo is the one that slays Orochi, and in this one, Orochi is, I guess, at the one at the end of the day, slays Oden, all right? I mean, it was Kaido that did it, but you know what I mean. He was the one that set everything into motion, right? So a little bit of an inverse of the story there. But as the myth goes, the Yamato no Orochi was a massive 8-headed snake that terrorized the country of ancient Japan. How massive was it? Well, it's stated that the Yamato no Orochi was about 8 valleys and 8 hills long, and it was covered in trees and moss. That doesn't give us an exact estimate. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you see a hill that's like barely a little bump in the ground. It's like, that's a hill. I'm like, really? Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe this thing was only the size of like a Walmart or something, which granted, an 8-headed serpent the size of a Walmart, that would be pretty intimidating, but you know, it's made out to be that it's the size of like several, you know, mountains or something like that. Like, this thing is huge, all right? And so Susanoo no Mikoto had to come up with a clever strategy to kill this thing, and so what he did is he decided to get it drunk. Right? So he got a bunch of barrels of liquor, and he built a fence, and he made little holes in the fence, like little slots in the fence. He made 8 of them. So the serpent is like, booze. And then it's like, oh, somebody made a fence with 8 holes perfectly fitting for me. And he poked his head through every single one of them and started drinking all of the booze, got drunk, and Susanoo just went over and just like, oh, that was easy. And then just cut off all the heads and then just called it a day, you know, like that was the end of the Yamato no Orochi. And out of the Orochi's corpse came the Kusanagi sword, all right, which is one of the 3 great regalia of Japan, which to this day is, you know, it is enshrined in certain temples, and whenever a new emperor of Japan is crowned upon the chrysanthemum throne, they take out the 3 holy regalia, all right? They're like wrapped in cloth in boxes, so the public can't see them, but they're there, trust me. That's the actual Kusanagi sword that Susanoo no Mikoto, the storm god, ripped out of the Yamato no Orochi. It's the actual one. It still exists. Keep the magic alive, ladies and gentlemen, I would assume. All right, so that's the story. All right. And also there's references, it's called like it's covered in blood, it can spew poison and venom, corruption and decay go wherever it goes. And some of that stuff lines up with Orochi pretty well. He was full of corruption, and there was certainly a lot of decay of the overall like state of the country of Wano. You know, he was deforesting everything, and he was polluting the waters, and he was building all of the weapon factories and polluting the air with smog. You know, he was a pretty shitty ruler, right? So way back when Higurashi and Semimaru approached Orochi, and they were like, we have a plan to take over all of Wano. I have the Mane Mane no Mi. I can copy the appearance of Sukiyaki. And Semimaru has the power of the barrier fruit, so he can erect impassable, impenetrable barriers to protect you from anything. And you need a devil fruit too, Orochi, and we will make you the new shogun, right? And so Higurashi presented Orochi with the Yamato no Orochi Zoan. So falls in the same category of Toki having the Toki Toki no Mi. Every now and then in One Piece, you get a character whose name is very similar to the devil fruit or is contained in the devil fruit. Incidentally, the original design of the Yamato no Orochi devil fruit did not have the swirl pattern. I remember this when it was first revealed in the weekly chapter. This was later amended because all devil fruits, except for the smiles, which are artificial, need to have that swirl pattern somewhere. And so Oda modified the design later on for the Tankobon, and that's the one you see in the anime featured here, okay? And so Orochi consumed the Hebi Hebi no Mi snake fruit model Yamato no Orochi and became an 8-headed serpent, all right? And so we see the form here. Orochi usually goes into his hybrid form whenever he does do it. It's one of those things because it's so massive. You know, it's not as massive as a Walmart or like mountainsides and everything like that. But usually he uses the fruit when he's inside of a room. And so when he goes into that form, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes whether or not he's in his hybrid form or his full animal form. Also, along with that, it seems like, he didn't really train with it all too much because he wasn't really a fighter, but he did have some control over it in the regards that sometimes he only spawned one head. Like if he just wanted to turn, because I think that was like his first appearance when we saw Orochi in the silhouette behind the screen, we see his like one head forming into a snake head or like 3 heads, all right? So if he wants to go, 8-headed, he can do that, or if he just wants 2 or 3 or 5 or whichever number from 1 through 8, he could do that as well. So it is very large, and it is a very intimidating snake, even with Orochi's dumbass face plastered all over the heads. The main head, the one that represents him, that actually has his crown on it, is like a darker shade of green in the anime, and along with that, the crown that he has is on that main head, but the other heads don't have that. And it would be really funny if they were all like, they had different personalities or some shit. Like, that would be really great. Dude, you could have done something fun with that. You could have had like the 7 deadly sins kind of thing. You could have had like Orochi's main head be his own personality, like all of the sin that he has embodied, right? And then you could have each of the heads have like a different kind of personality quirk. That would be really cool. That would have been funny. He does have a level of strength and power like all Zoans give you. And if he was fighting against a normal person, of course, they wouldn't be able to fight back. Orochi just turns into this massive serpent, grabs somebody, and just eats them. And he's probably done that before, right? Like anybody that mouths off to him or is playing off tune or just denies something of just like, I want more wine. I'm Lord Orochi. It's like, okay, Lord Orochi, but the wine is gone. We have to go fetch more. And just eats them, right? I'm sure every now and then, just to kind of satiate his own power and also intimidate his staff, I'm sure he just eats people occasionally. But these are like ordinary people, right? That like really can't do much against a giant 8-headed serpent, all right? But other than that, he does have a little bit of durability. Shinobu dropped an entire ceiling on him when they were infiltrating the palace, and he was able to get right back up after that. He was a little dazed, but it didn't really seem to do him any, lasting damage. And then Nami, struck him with a lightning bolt charged with Zeus, and he was able to recover from that. So I guess the devil fruit does give him a level of durability there. Okay, it is a mythical zone, so no matter how much of a dumbass and a jackass Orochi is, he does get some durability from that. Honestly, that was probably the main reason Higurashi gave it to him, because the main function, the reason it's a mythical zone, being able to turn you into an animal, but also giving you another like paramecia-like effect, is literally tailored to somebody like Orochi, who is going to do things that are really stupid. It's essentially insurance to make sure he doesn't die. Because in order to kill Orochi, you have to kill him 8 times. You have to sever all of his heads so he can never come back. So even if he's in his human form, he's not even in his hybrid or his full animal Zoan form, and then you slice off his head like Kaido did. Kaido just took out a sword and just hacked off Orochi's head right there in human form. He was able to come back from that because he had 7 other lives in reserve. That's the main function of the fruit. Now, in the hands of somebody that knew how to use hockey and could train with this ability and do a bunch of other stuff with it, oh my god, that would be so intimidating. Somebody really powerful? Imagine if Kaido had that fruit the entire time, and you'd have to fight and kill Kaido 8 times to put him down for good. Yeah, he wouldn't be as strong as with the Azure Dragon fruit, but still, with all the raw power that dude had, it would still be tough to bring him down, right? In Orochi's case, killing him is honestly just mildly annoying. Kaido cuts off one of his heads, and then 6 of the scabbards were running through the hall. It's one of the most badass scenes with the scabbards, in my opinion. In fact, it might be the best one. It's either that or the moment where they initially attack Kaido and they all stab him at once. You know, for Odin! Right? So they're running down the hall, and Orochi is there. And this is the man that is, like, responsible more than anything for what happened to the country and what happened to Odin. But there's no moment where they all stop and like, Orochi, you have been the bane of our existence from the very beginning. We will now engage in epic battle with you to avenge our master. No, they're busy. They're dealing with other shit. They run down the hallway, and in one awesome choreographed move, like you couldn't have planned this if they all practiced it together for like a week, really. They all just unsheathe their swords, and with the most like we don't give a shit kind of expression, slice off 6 of his heads, 6 of his lives. Like that. And then they sheathe their swords and they're like, Orochi, you suck. We don't have time to deal with you right now. Get bent. And then they just leave. They just leave and go off to do their other shit, right? And so 6 of the heads are just wiped out there. So 6 plus 1, I think that equals 7. So you got 1 life left. And so later on at the end of the arc, you see him kind of in his emergency bunker with Komurasaki, with Hiyori. And he's like, they have killed 7 of my heads. Ooh, this isn't good. Orochi is in a bad spot right here. I'm gonna go just hang out in my emergency bunker until all of this blows over. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. I knew this was going to happen. Those damn Kozukis. I am Lord Orochi. Everything will be okay. Oh no, that doesn't sound good. I am Lord Orochi. Maybe I could sing a song in order to lighten my mood. It started when an alien device did what it. So he goes down there, and Komurasaki's there. Of course, Komurasaki reveals, by the way, I'm Odin's daughter. Like, oh shit! That's not good. No, it isn't. Stabs him with a sea prism stone nail, is about to kill him herself when he's able to get the nail out of him, and he turns into his single-headed serpent now to go attack and kill Hiyori. That's when Denjiro shows up and slices off the final head. Well, the Kanzenbo was also there. Hiyori's plan was to immobilize him with the nail, and then the Kanzenbo lights him on fire because Hiyori wanted to see this motherfucker burn, okay, for everything that he did. That didn't really work out exactly, but he still burned to death, you know, after decapitation, right? So Denjiro's the one that eventually delivers the killing blow. So he was also one of the scabbards that sliced off one of the heads. So in terms of a high score, Denjiro gets 2 kills on Orochi. So there you go, Denjiro. If any one of the scabbards was going to get the 2 kill, that would probably be you, because he was so enraged over what happened, his face literally contorted from the anger. Okay, so if anybody was going to do it, it was Denjiro. So yeah, that's it. Orochi's dead. In terms of any other abilities, you'd think being a snake, you'd think he'd be able to like spit venom or inject venom or poison or something, right? Some other thing that you could do. He never does that. He never shows any unique abilities outside of being able to grow the 8 heads and being able to survive, you know, have 7 extra lives, essentially, right? So I'm going to assume the Yamata no Orochi, at least in this context, is more of like a non-venomous python or anaconda or something like that. Sanderzonia, one of the Boa siblings, has the power of the anaconda Zoan. So just like in a general same regard, you know what I mean? Like it's a snake that focuses more on restriction and like crushing its prey rather than poisoning or envenomating them and killing them, right? And we see that. We see Orochi like constricting around people, grabbed Komurasaki in his mighty jaws. He was about to like crush her in that one scene at the banquet, right? You would imagine if Orochi did have a projectile attack, if he did have the ability to spew venom or acid or some shit, he would definitely be doing that ability. Now, you also got to, think about the idea that he's not training with this devil fruit. No, Higurashi gave it to him as insurance, so he's not going out and training with his power and trying to get stronger. It does what he needs it to do. It makes him into a big, scary snake that he can kill pretty much most people around him, all right? The only people that would really stand against him are anybody that has a devil fruit ability and knows how to do it, and hockey and stuff like that, right? But the vast majority of people he surrounds himself with are his yes men, so he doesn't really need to worry about training or getting stronger. He has the Mimawari Gumi, he has the Oni Wabanshu. He doesn't need, to use his own power to actually fight. So who knows? Maybe if he did train with this ability, it certainly was not awakened. Maybe if he trained with this ability, he could learn how to, do certain things like that, like, aspect of some of the mythological abilities the Yamato no Orochi had in Japanese folklore. Something involving maybe he could spew blood or something like that. Maybe his blood could turn acidic or something, the blood-soaked serpent. Or is that, that's the red line, the great blood-soaked serpent. Yeah. It's certainly not as cool as some of the other depictions of the Yamato no Orochi, as you would imagine, because this, character, this monster is so notable in Japanese folktales. It shows up in a lot of anime, not the least of which being Naruto, where Orochimaru's one of his strongest moves is becoming the Yamato no Orochi. And that form is pretty badass, I'll tell you, because it was actually immediately stabbed and sealed away by Itachi's Susanoo. So I was like, man, in Naruto, though, this form is actually really cool. All right, that bad example. Okay. In Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card called the Yamata Dragon, which is the Yamato no Orochi, which is a spirit monster, which actually is that card's not really that great either. I mean, it's not the worst card in the game. It's a spirit monster, so it returns to your hand, and you actually need to use 2 tributes to summon the thing, and it's... All right, man, there's not a lot of really cool implications of the Yamato no Orochi. Okay, what is the coolest depiction of the Yamato no Orochi in anime, in fiction? Could somebody please let me know about that? Please. Right. Okay, so, yeah. Now, here's a kicker, though. This fruit, unlike a lot of other fruits, because not that many people usually die in One Piece, has returned to circulation. The Yamata no Orochi is out there somewhere in Wano. Who will receive its power? I don't know. Maybe like, Tama. Maybe Tama can... Oh, wait, no, she already has a devil fruit. She would die. She would explode if she ate that devil fruit. I was just like, oh, wait, Tama is a Kurozumi, so maybe she will inherit... No, she already has the Kimi no Mi. All right. Anybody else? It would be messed up if Hiyori had it, right? Like, if Hiyori was the one. I don't think anybody wants to eat that fruit, actually. It's one of those situations where it's like, not that the fruit's power is bad, it literally represents over 20 years of oppression in the land of Wano. I don't know if any of the scabbards, they might actually go find it. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, if they go out and be like, hey, devil fruit reincarnation is a thing. You should probably be on the lookout for that devil fruit. It's out there somewhere, right? And so maybe they go look for it and find it. Like if Denjiro found the thing, he wouldn't eat it. He would probably be like, okay, we need to keep this locked up. They would probably just do that. They would just lock it up in the vaults under the castle and the palace in the little, doll room that Sukiyake had or something like that, right? They wouldn't probably consume it. Maybe if shit really hit the fan and somebody really needed the power for something, but Momonosuke can't eat it because he already has the power of the artificial smile. Not the smile, just the artificial devil fruit. Caesar's fruits are smiles. His is not. His is made by Vegapunk. Kinemon already has a devil fruit, the Garb fruit. Kawamatsu could eat it, I guess, but he's a fish man, so that'd be really dumb for him to eat that. Although snakes can be aquatic, although in this case, probably not. By the way, other side note, the Yamato no Orochi shows up in a lot of references to this river that's in Japan, and it's probably more of just a tale of how dangerous this river was, where it flooded a lot. That's probably where a lot of tales of the Yamato no Orochi originated from. Let's see. Well, Okiku doesn't have a devil fruit, so maybe she could eat it? I mean, like, I'm just picturing them finding it, and then like, oh, hey, we found Orochi's mythical Zoan. Oh, good, yeah. Anybody want it? It's like, it is a mythical zone. It does give you the ability to get 7 extra lives. That is a big deal. It's like, yeah, that is a big deal, but like, I don't want the fucking thing, you know. It's just like, yeah, okay, that's fair, you know. They'd probably just lock it away, but it has been reincarnated. All right, keep that in mind. All right, so now we're in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have Yamato's Okuchi no Makami Devil Fruit, the other mythical zone that we find out in Wano. It's Yamato's. And then we have the Gorosei. We're going to be talking about all 5 of their yokai forms in one video. Still not 100% if they are devil fruits, but I'm just going to include them anyway. Close enough. And then we finally have Killingham's Ryuriru no Mi Maro Kirin. Now, there is maybe some other mythical zones that showed up in the most recent chapter of One Piece, but we didn't get the actual official names for those yet, so I'm going to hold off on those in Elbaf until we get the names and we find out more about them, right? Okay, but for right now, I think we could do it. I think we're done for the rest of the year. I think we can manage to get this series completed. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Teching, signing out. I am Lord Orochi. Goodbye, everybody.